So today we're going to be talking about 10 things that I have cut from my budget. But stick around to the very end to hear the last one, because that one's going to be pretty interesting when it comes to things that I've actually already done in the past and want to do more of in the future. Coming up. Hello fellow wealth builders, and welcome back to the True Financials channel. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about 10 things that I have cut from my budget. But first, if you are new here, my name is Dennis, and on this show, we love to talk about personal finance, investing, and retirement to help build your wealth. So I was able to pay for a house in cash, have a debt-free wedding, and then be able to go traveling with my wife for a full year. So if you want to be able to control more of your money, consider subscribing with us today. See things that I have cut from my budget. These are not necessarily things that you need to cut from yours. You always want to look at your budgets and see what gives you the most value for the things that you're paying for. Now, when it comes to this list, as I mentioned, the last item, actually the last 2 to 3 items are actually pretty interesting because they are things that we actually really love, but we have decided to cut from our budget because they're not currently worth having in the budget. And what I mean by that is things can actually change from what we cut from our budgets. Just because you have something cut out now doesn't mean you can't put it back in later. So always take that into consideration, making sure that you understand what your goals are and what you want to be able to achieve, so that way you can be financially independent and be able to hit those goals every single time. So we're going to start from 10 going all the way to number 1. Like I mentioned earlier, it's going to be an interesting one, so make sure you stick around to the very end. All right, so number 10 is going to be repairs. And repairs are a big cost when it comes to having to deal with a bunch of different things, whether it's with your home, whether with your electronics, your car, or any other means. Now, I'm not versatile in everything repairs, but when it comes to things that I can try to fix, I will do that first and foremost before having to pay somebody else to do it. So one of the examples is that I actually replace the phone screens for our phones if something were to happen to them. Mostly my wife, she breaks her screens more often than not. And so we have to get those replaced, and I end up doing the repairs instead of taking it to another place. And it is vastly much cheaper to be able to buy the tools from Amazon and the screen and just get it done and replaced on my own instead of paying somebody else. Same thing with like the batteries or the screen protectors. I do all that stuff on our own, so that way it saves us money and not having to pay somebody else. And more recently, I've actually had to replace my faucet in the kitchen because it was actually going out and there was water spraying everywhere. And so I just ordered a new faucet from Amazon as well. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of buying everything from Amazon, and I actually did the whole repair entirely myself. So I actually was the one that removed the old faucet and replaced it with a brand new one, and I did it all on my own instead of having to pay somebody else to come in and do that for me. And now, of course, that is always up to the person and what their abilities are. But if you can possibly do it yourself, really look into it. Whether it's watching YouTube videos on how to do it, which is what I typically do, or reading about it, or actually for once maybe reading the manual, which I had to do for the faucet, is actually going to be able to help you save a ton of money. Like for example, when it comes to car repairs, I don't really know anything about cars, but I did learn how to change the light bulbs on the car, so that way I didn't have to pay somebody else to do it. Same thing with the filter. But when it comes to the actual repairs of the car, yes, I'll take that somewhere else because I have no clue on that aspect. But I'm always willing to learn as best I can for the things that maybe are a little bit less technical when it comes to car stuff. But just in general, make sure you look into it for you to be able to save more money by actually doing the repairs yourself, because that can go a really long way. So number 9 is going to be bottled water. Now, if you actually do follow this channel along, you do know that I do sometimes buy a case of water, but we keep that for emergencies in case something happens, or whatever reason we have to take some water with us. But overall, we just don't buy regular water to be able to have on an everyday basis. We have the tap water that we just drink out of, and that is perfectly fine for us. Sometimes we actually even add cucumbers to that to kind of give it a little bit of a flavor on top of that. So the great thing about that one is not only is it saving us money, but it is also helping save the environment just a little bit more. Number 8 is going to be cutting out soda. Now, I actually haven't had soda personally in a very long time, but every once in a while we did end up buying some soda for like guests or people that came over, but we just ended up cutting that out as well because, as I mentioned earlier, we actually just now do like flavored water, or we'll buy like a lemonade for everybody all together, because soda does end up costing a lot when it comes down to being able to buy the cans or even the liters as well. So we just decide to cut it out. It's a lot healthier for us as well, or for our guests when they can just have either like a very easy, simple lemonade or that flavored water. So number 7 is going to be high-speed internet. Now, of course, we have internet. Obviously, being here on YouTube, I do have to have some type of internet to be able to upload my videos and create my content, but I don't have the fastest speed that's available to us. Now, I actually did at one point go with the highest speed, but I did drop down an additional tier or two, and it actually didn't really feel that much different from where it was before. So, you know, take that into consideration. I do understand that there's a lot of people out there that really want the fastest, especially if you're like a gamer or you have a lot of things going on. But I would encourage to look at the idea of maybe cutting back 1 or 2 tiers to see if maybe there's a big difference that you personally feel out of it, and maybe help you save a little bit more money. So number 6 is going to be sit-down restaurants. Now, this doesn't mean we don't ever go to sit-down restaurants, because we do go on very, very special occasions, but we honestly don't go to sit-down restaurants just for no apparent reason. So I know a lot of people do like to go for like dinner nights and just go out on the weekdays, but we don't personally do that. We only go for like a birthday or a very big celebration, and a lot of times it's with other family members and not even just for ourselves. So we just cut that out because we find it more valuable to be able to cook from home and be able to have leftovers and be able to save a lot more money. But as I mentioned earlier, these are just things that we're cutting out from our budget, not necessarily meaning that you have to cut these things out as well, just kind of helping you give more of a broad idea of the different things that other people actually cut out from their budgets. So before we continue with the second half of the list, let me know in the comment section down below, what is one thing you absolutely cannot cut from your budget that's a 1? I just really want to hear from you in the community, so let me know in the comment section down below. So number 5 is going to be video services / cable. Now, cable, of course, is a big one that a lot of people always have on their list, and of course that's a big thing to be able to cut from your budget if it's something that you don't absolutely need. But I'm also looking at things such as Hulu Plus or even Netflix for people to be able to cut. So we don't technically have Netflix, but that is courtesy of T-Mobile. But for a lot of people, it might not be worth actually having that service if it's something that is taking up a lot of your time to not be able to do other things that you want to do in your life. So always consider too that the value that you're paying for something, if it's worth what you're getting out of it, or if it's causing you to kind of put yourself in a position where you are using up a lot more of your time for things that you don't want. So Netflix can be a really great, fun entertainment piece, but it can also hold you back in the idea that it's gonna suck up a lot of your time. And I'm not hating on Netflix here by any stretch of the imagination. Like as I mentioned, I do still technically have it. I just don't have to pay for it anymore because T-Mobile does have that covered. But we don't personally have Hulu Plus or cable or any of those other means to have additional services when it comes to video content. Number 4 is physical Blu-rays and DVDs. So we've actually stopped for quite a while on buying physical movies, and that is including Disney movies, which is a big deal for us, and instead just venturing off into going to all digital movies. So we typically get an awesome deal buying digital copies from a website called Bluray.com, where people are actually selling their digital copies after purchasing the physical copies because maybe they don't care for that digital version of it. So we're actually able to get it for a lot cheaper than buying a brand new movie, whether it's physical or even digital from the regular platforms. So the next 3 items on the list are going to be things that we actually are temporarily cutting out of our budget. And what I mean by that is, as of right now, we are not spending money on these particular items, but eventually we do want to bring them back into the budget. So always keep that in mind, that when you cut something, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to cut it for good, that you can add it back into your budget when the time is right. So number 3 is going to be new books. So as of right now, we are currently holding off on buying new books, and we typically only buy books when we can get them at a really good price, such as places like Savers or Goodwill, or even sometimes online as well. So if a new book comes out, we typically try to wait a while and then look and see if we can find it at a really good deal, or we just end up getting other books in the meantime, so that way we can get some really good content. And for me personally, I do a lot more of the business books, and my wife does like more of like the fiction books. But I'm assuming that if a new Harry Potter book were to ever release, that we would probably be getting that one brand new for whatever reason. I think my wife might be a big fan of Harry Potter, but I digress. Number 2, and this one's a tough one for us, is holiday decorations. So we actually had to cut holiday decorations out of our budget for a while, and so that's a very unfortunate thing because we're big fans of the holidays, especially Thanksgiving and Christmas time. My wife and I absolutely love decorating the house. Now that doesn't mean we can't decorate the house with things that we already have from years prior and things that we've collected before, and we will definitely be doing that, but we're not buying anything new as of right now because we are holding off right now, so that way we can attack other things that we want to do in our budgets and our goals for finances, but then later on reintroduce these things so that way we can rebuild our collection for holiday decorations, whether it be Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Easter, New Year's, all these different events that happen throughout the year. All right, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for being here. Hit that like button if you are enjoying this content and really are resonating with some of the things that we're talking about here on this channel. But to go into the very last one, and this one is a very tough one for us, especially if you know a little bit about our history on how much we love to do this kind of stuff, but we actually ended up cutting out travel as our budget item. Now, travel for us was really important because we really like to see and explore more of this world. Now, my wife and I actually went traveling for a full year through Europe back in 2016. And so to come back here and to actually cut traveling out of our budget is a really hard thing for us to do. So we really want to see more of the world, but we understand that there's other financial things that we have to accomplish before we can continue doing more of those kind of goals. So as of right now, traveling is out of our budget, but again, we are planning on reintroducing that in the near future so that way we can go visit other places out in this world. So that was my 10 things that I cut out of my budget. Let me know in that comment section down below, as I mentioned earlier, what is that one thing that you can absolutely not cut from your budget? I really want to hear from you in the community in the comment section down below. All right, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to hit that like button and share this out with somebody else that can really benefit from this information. And if you are still not yet subscribed, don't forget to hit that little subscribe button down below, and then you can hit that bell to get those notifications when all these new videos keep coming out. Thank you so much, fellow wealth builders, for watching, and have a great day. All right, if you made it to the end of this video, I'm gonna have 2 more here for you. The top one is actually gonna be my most recent release, and then this bottom one is actually gonna be a playlist with some other videos around this same subject from other financial YouTubers, so definitely check them out.